Good morning everybody and welcome back to another update video. So today we're going to be covering the Gilenor Gazette for February. I didn't think we were going to get one, but on the very last day of the month, we received one of my favorite pieces of content, the Gilenor Gazette. In it, it goes over all of the current projects and upcoming projects, with an updated timeline for all of them, as well as it has revealed a ton of new things that might be coming this year, including 10 new quests that could be backported from the 2007 to 2010 era of RS2, along with new information regarding Rage 3. There was just a ton to go over. Hope you guys enjoy as always. Like the video if you, well, like the video I suppose. Anyway, let's get started. So in every Gazette, they release an up-to-date roadmap. Now for the most part, it is very similar. The only main difference is Team 3 is now going to be working on a skilling update in February-March instead of working on community event support. But that is really the only major change. Now there's teams working on a bunch of different things here, but what is likely to come next? It seems probably the next major piece of content coming out is the Guardians of the Rift runecrafting minigame. I don't want to call it a minigame, but I guess it maybe is. New runecrafting training method. So the Guardians of the Rift started as a high-level idea last year, but kind of got fast-tracked due to some positive community feedback. So they write that the Guardians of the Rift and the accompanying quest, Temple of the Eye, is all coming together. Although the minigame has some complex NPC behavior, it's coming along nicely. That's all to say that if things go to plan, it should be releasing on March 23rd, so in a bit over 3 weeks. Now we've already covered the entire dev blog for the Guardians of the Rift, but they are looking to make a small change to part of the update, and that has to do with the True Blood altar. Now, if you don't remember, the True Blood altar is in Mariaditch in Mauritania, and currently you can't craft blood runes there. You can only do it in Zaya, but they want to add in an actual blood altar to the mainland. Now originally this was not going to be accessible from the Abyss, but they want to change that a bit. So they want to add in a few different ways to get here. Firstly, there'd be 2 agility shortcuts, one requiring 74, but they'd also like to add in a second one that would require 93 agility and 78 mining as a one-time requirement to open up the shortcut, and this would take you significantly closer to the blood altar than the other agility shortcut. So due to that, they'd also like to add the True Blood altar to the Abyss, so there are multiple viable ways to get here. Now with all that said, the high level agility shortcut would be the quickest way to get here. After that, the Abyss would be the second quickest, and after that, the lower level agility shortcut. Beyond that, it seems like all they have left to do is to balance the XP and rewards, and hopefully we should be getting this at the end of March. Alright, so now let's look at something that I am really excited for, and that is more quests in Oldschool Runescape. Now I'm personally a really big fan of questing, but the rate that we are getting brand new OSRS exclusive quests is pretty slow. They are a pretty big time investment for the devs, and most people are only ever going to do them once or maybe twice. So because of that, one thing they are considering is actually backporting some quests from the 2007 to 2012 era. Now obviously, the entire game is essentially a backport, but recently they've actually been able to work with later versions of the game to bring stuff like Soul Wars and Nex. So between the 2007 backup and the end of the 2011 era, 56 quests were released, which were for the most part continuations of existing storylines. So due to the partial 2012 backup that they used to make Soul Wars and Nex, and the improvements in their GFX development tools, they can port older quests from that time era. So the major benefit is, of course, the dev time will be much less. That's why they're pitching 10 quests at once, which will never happen otherwise. However, they do note some downsides that, first up, backported quests may generate a bit less interest, as players have already experienced the story already and done the quest. And while some of them are iconic, others are completely unsuitable for old school, due to the old school story going a different direction, or having them based on content that doesn't exist in old school RuneScape. So they've reviewed all of the quests in that time era, and they picked a handful that they think would be suitable for old school. So would they be a straight one-for-one backup? Most of them probably not. Most of them would require a few tweaks here and there, kind of similar to the Land of the Goblins. Now one thing to note here is these would be added alongside new OSRS exclusive quests and would not replace them. So here are the quests that they are proposing. First up here we have the Path of Glorfy, which is a continuation to the Gnome storyline. Now this quest came out September of 2007, so it wouldn't really require too much tweaking, as that's pretty close to when the original 2007 Scape backup is from. The only thing they would change about it is the Slayer creatures found after the quest, as they weren't particularly popular on the original release. Next up here we have the Chosen Commander quest, which released in March of 2009, and is the finale to the Dorgesh-Khan storyline. Now this quest was originally quite well received, and it would allow them to finally conclude another storyline. Now they would make a few tweaks to it, mainly increasing the difficulty a bit, to really make it worthy of its Master Tier status. Next up here we have the Defender of Varrock and the Curse of Arav. These would be two quests that would continue the Marajat storyline, and these were originally released in 2008 and July 2009. Now these quests would require a bit more tweaking, as both the quests were lacking in pretty much any rewards, so they may add in just more experience. Next up here we have the Rocking Out quest and a Clockwork Syringe. Now these were both Master Tier quests that continued the pirate storyline, that released in June of 2008 and March of 2011. Now the Rocking Out quest wouldn't require too much changing, but a Clockwork Syringe would, as in the original release there was a dungeoneering element, which obviously doesn't work in Old School. And for both of them they may consider additional rewards. Next up here we have Forgiveness of a Chaos Dwarf and the King of the Dwarves. Now once again these are two Master Tier quests that would continue the Red Axe storyline. The Red Axe storyline hasn't been touched in Old School, so these quests could make for a great addition. Now for these quests they'd probably have to reconsider the difficulty, as neither of them really feel like Master Tier quests, and they'd probably have to change the rewards a bit, as they've already been used in other Old School RuneScape content. Now moving on here to the two big ones, then the ones I'm most excited for. First up, we have Nomad's Requiem. Even all these years later, the name Nomad still fills a quest cape holder with fear. The Grandmaster quest was released in January of 2010 and was forever remembered for its notoriously tough boss fight. So they would have to tweak things a bit for this quest, mainly the difficulty of the boss fight, as we wouldn't have access to the summoning skill. For rewards, they'd like to offer the opportunity to upgrade the Soul Cape. Now right now the Soul Cape provides one of the best prayer bonuses, so either they will offer something with even better prayer bonus or maybe more utility. And finally here at the bottom we have While Guthix Sleeps, an iconic quest and widely considered to be one of the best quests ever released into RuneScape. So if they were to move forward with the backports of the Path of Glorfy and the Defender of Varrock, they would also unlock the ability to backport While Guthix Sleeps. Now this quest would require a fair bit of changing once again, as there are some elements that require summoning, and some of the rewards have already been used in Old School in other ways, so they would have to redo that as well. But I don't know, I'll be so excited if this quest, along with all the other ones, came into Old School, because I haven't actually done a lot of these quests because I stopped playing around 2007, 2008. So to me, a lot of these would actually be new quests, so it's pretty much as good as getting a ton of new quests to do. And I think as long as this is not replacing original quests and this really doesn't take that much time, I think this is a great selection and a good use of dev time that will keep me busy at least for, well, the foreseeable future. Now, moving on from that, we have a couple other really big pieces of news in the Gazette. Now, first up here, we have more sneak peeks for the new raid alongside the new quest to access it beneath Cursed Sands. Now first up here we have a work in progress map for the new area. So on the left here we can see Sophenheim and the Agility Pyramid, those are already there. And of course we have Narda, but now to the southeast we have the ruins of Ulek and Necropolis. I don't know about you guys, but I always get really excited looking at new map locations. So presumably this will be the area for both the new quest line and the raid. They've also released a few more teaser images for the Beneath Cursed Sands quest, a dungeon picture, as well as a new NPC, which looks kind of like a scarab humanoid person that has 4 arms. And they also claim that the Beneath Cursed Sands is due in April. Now moving on here, we have also a few teaser images from the Tombs of Amascut. We have a work in progress NPC, which looks like, well, a human wearing some weird desert mask. Now they don't mention a release date for the Tombs of Amascut, but it should be coming shortly-ish after, but no confirmed date yet. Okay, so now moving on to the more miscellaneous category. Now they mentioned the PvP arena, which currently doesn't have an official release date, but there's going to be a public beta for the rewards in late March. So you can look forward to that, hopefully this month as well. Now, one thing I mentioned at the beginning of the video is that a skilling update looks like it could be coming in the near future. So it looks like they're actually looking to tackle the skilling update sooner rather than later. Now, they only really drop hints of what it's going to be. So here's what they're hinting at. They said they looked at which skills have the toughest player journeys. As you know, the Guardians of the Rift will soon be arriving to help with runecrafting, so they're investigating another skill with similar issues. Mod Dylan is a wizard when it comes to interesting gameplay mechanics, and he's concocted something awesome for this next update. And really the only piece of information they've released regarding this is that it's going to be called the Giant's Foundry. So based on that, I would guess a smithing update, but you know, it could be a few other things. Now finally here, we have the Dead Man rerun. At this rate, they'll just be rerunning the next Dead Man mode and not the original one. It's been a long time, but they still say they're committed to rerunning the event, and they're still working on upgrading their DDoS protection and patching some vulnerabilities, but apparently they're still working on it. So anyway, that is it for the Gilenor Gazette. A lot of really interesting information regarding our existing updates and future ones. A ton of new quests could be on the docket. A new skilling update. It does look like there's a lot to get excited about for Old School in 2022, so I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for watching as always, guys, and I will see you next time. Now before I go here, I want to give a giant thank you to all of my members over on YouTube. Thank you so much to Nell, Zero, The Hybrid, Alejandra, and Kush Patel for all being subscribed at the Dragon tier. You guys are amazing as always. And a huge thank you to Kyton987, Locustes, Mexos, Basetitch, NDM001, and YoYoSub89 for subbing at the Runite tier. Again, thanks a lot. If any of you are looking for another way to support the channel directly, becoming a YouTube member is a great way to do so. You'll get immortalized in all of my future videos and get a custom role in my Discord server. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.